Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Cryptid Research News webcast. Today we have something interesting and kind of totally off the subject of Bigfoot, but more along the lines of cryptids. This cryptid is very small in portion, and I think some of you may find it very interesting and entertaining. That I'm going to entertain the thought of the possible idea of the existence of such creatures. I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying they don't. But we're going to talk about fairies. Are they real? Or can they be real? Why not? Well, let's jump to this next scene. Let's get right into it. I'm going to share a few things. Um, some things are fairly recent, with some actually odd findings that've been around. We're going to get to that very shortly. Um, I think we'll have fun with this one, people. I think we really will. Don't hate me for sharing this. Don't hate me for presenting it to you. Hey, as a cryptozoologist, you got to keep an open mind. But this is something here I think we can find entertaining, regardless if we believe or don't believe in it. Right? Right. It's safe to let's have fun with it. Why is everything got to be dead serious all the time? I, I'm not afraid to have fun on my shows, people. I'm not afraid to have fun with real research. I'm not afraid to have fun with fake research. That's for sure. So let's jump right to the next scene. I got something to read to you here shortly. Well, um, one of the things that actually brought me to the subject of talking about fairies was one of my news feeds from Brian Forrester. Because I follow Brian Forrester and a lot of his work because I'm very interested in a lot of the archaeology and some of his discoveries that he comes into, which some of his discoveries are kind of very bizarre sometimes, very out of this world, more or less, more to say. But I want to read something and share something with you from Brian Forrester, an article that actually happened from earlier this year, January of this year, and something I'm just now recently seeing that's being shared, um, and something that we're going to get a little bit more into that's actually gone a little bit further back in time, and I think what you're gonna what you're gonna hear today and see, I think you might find it interesting. So, and here's the article um, from Brian Forrester. In January 2016, while exploring ancient sites in Mexico, we had the great fortune to meet paranormal investigator Jamie Mawson in his offices and TV studio in New Mexico City. Quite spontaneously, he pulled out a jar out of his cupboard and simply placed it on his desk. Simply put, I was initially shocked and very skeptical as to what I was presented. It looked like a cross between a bat and a humanoid. It looked, let's see, and I spent 15 minutes looking closely at it for signs that the wings, etc., had somehow been artificially attached. As a trained biologist with an HBSC from Canada, I am to this day perplexed by this experience. X-rays of the specimen were presented to an American veterinarian who noticed small metallic balls inside, which he decided were shotgun shots. He declared that he believed it was a living being. It once was a living being. Let me correct that. It once was a living being. Okay. Also, in other readings, the X-rays were in the video, which you'll see here in a little bit here. You'll hear the discussion on how the X-rays also showed that the skeletal of the wings were naturally connected to the skeletal of the body, which there was no artificial attachment whatsoever. Actually, right now, let's take a look at that video right now. Let's jump right into that.
Ricardo, these creatures are very, very strange.
It's a hybrid, and that's something very important, because I believe they are experiments. What kind of experiments? Why? I don't know. But we have a physical body, and we can analyze that physical body and prove that something, an intelligence is behind
the length
this
of the
experiment.
feet.
Okay.
But this creature have another, is the wings. We have an X-ray of this creature.
You have an X-ray of it?
Yes, we have an X-ray.
What did the X-ray show?
And we can see the structure of the bones related with the structure.
So this is not a hoax?
No.
It is not a hoax?
Not a hoax.
Because an X-ray would show that it was a puppet or a mold?
No, this is a model.
All right. That was pretty interesting, right? I thought so. I thought it was very interesting. Well, next I want to get into something else here. Another article I found, and this one actually brings up Native Americans. There's something else I wanted to throw in the mix here. Um, right here, this here, the little person mummy. All right, this is called the little person mummy. This is something I want to read and kind of bring into the picture. All right, there is a mystery surrounding a little mummy that was discovered back in the 1930s. All right, in the San Pedro Mountains. It was speculated to have been a tiny race of humans that lived in caves within the mountains, as the little mummy was discovered in a cave. This little mummy was sitting upright and had a flattened skull, as you see right here. All right. All right. It also had very tan skin and sat about 7 inches tall, so if it stood up, it was around about a foot tall. Could this little mummy have been proof of the little people so greatly believed in by the Native Americans? Unfortunately, the little mummy has disappeared since its discovery, so no further testing has been done on it since the 1950s. Most scientists who have studied the photographs taken claim that it is simply the mummy of alright, an encephalic fetus. Excuse me if I got tongue tied trying to pronounce that long word. But the question was posed as to why would the little mummy have a full set of adult teeth? Interesting, huh? Alright. I was surprised to learn that Native Americans also believed in fairies, and then again, not so surprised. It seems that almost every culture has their own version of fairies or little people. And with the Native Americans being so in tune with nature, why would their beliefs be any different from the ancient Celts and other Europeans? Fairies in North America could. This is along with the article. Keep in mind, I'm still reading from the article. Fairies in North America could be found in the highest boss of the oldest trees. Well, oldest, so, um, which has, that's interesting. These are some articles I came by. Now, some of these articles could be, far fetched. Some of them are just, the articles actually come from real discoveries. Or real observations, regardless if they're real or not real. I'm just presenting it to you. Um, you know, Here's a few photos from John Hyatt. Some of these photos right here. Yeah, university lecturer John Hyatt claims he now has photographic evidence fairies are real and are residing in the Rosendale Valley. Of course, this is from an old article, old research, which I'll try to post and share that shortly. Um, I don't know. What do you think about fairies? Is it a fairy tale? Is it a line of what? I mean, what do you think about it? I know it sounds crazy. Maybe what I'm sharing with you doesn't make sense, but it's all because of what I found from Brian Forrester is what brought this up to for me to want to share this with you guys. So take it how you want it. I'm just presenting it. I thought it was fun, something entertaining. It's not going to hurt for me to present something like this. You call them, it's whatever how everyone wants to take of it. Again, take a look at the fairy in the jar. Everything that was observed, the study on it, comes to be organic, nothing of it's artificial. So, was it something else? What other kind of being was it? Some people want to call it a fairy. I mean, maybe it's not a fairy. Maybe it's a species that's unclassified. That's why. That's what a cryptozoologist is for. That's why we have cryptids. We don't know what they are. We could call them a fairy. We don't know what they really are. We really don't. So, we'll see. All right. I just presented to you some findings. Brian Forrester. Again, if you don't know who Brian Forrester is, the man is a very respectable man, highly educated archaeologist. Um, he observed for himself a finding that biologists had down, the professors had down in Mexico City. X-rays were taken. You heard all that. X-rays found that the body of the subject, the small person, or whatever you want to call it, or let's call it fairy, it had wings. So in the world of the mythical world, is known as a fairy. So John Hyatt, as you see, I'll share the if you want to look more into the John Hyatt findings of the Rosenberg University, check that out. You might just be intrigued. You might find it interesting, mind-blowing, that these professors of the universities are finding and come to the conclusions that fairies are real. And they're convinced that they are real based off their findings and observations. But what do you think? Feel free to comment below. Call me crazy. But I'm going to start presenting more findings like this and discussing them, presenting them, discussing them, sharing my opinions. Me, I want to believe, but I think I have to be careful with this one. I'm not easily convinced. I really not. I'm not. I mean, for real. I'm somebody, I'm not one of those individuals that fall into those categories. People make jokes about unicorns. I have reason to believe that unicorns once existed, regardless of how they might have been. People, look at unicorns as horses having horns. And if you look into the Bible speaks of some of these creatures. They do not name specifically every known animal or species. Okay? But the name unicorn was presented or mentioned. But what was the unicorn? Maybe that's another show. We'll get into that later on. But meanwhile, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And if you have any questions or if you want to have a topic discussed or shared, I want to hear back from you. Email me, or if you're on Facebook, message me. You could tweet me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, Facebook. You got my email, and comment below. If you don't want, you want to keep it private, email me, whatever. I want to thank you again for watching this episode. I had fun presenting it. It definitely opens my mind to a new world. That's for sure. So God bless everybody, and I hope you share this with your friends, and I hope you can be a part of our live podcast coming up later. God bless.